On the industrial side, Danya got a board together that was made up of members of all the major Messianic umbrella organizations. We have our clusters, the Union of Messianic Jewish Congregation, the Messianic Jewish Alliance, this and that, and got a board together made up of everyone from them. And the board developed key principles for some foundational issues associated with the manufacture of a Bible that everyone could conceivably weigh in on, participate in, etc. Then came the task of finding translators. Dick Averbeck, a professor, the head of the PhD program at Trinity University, rolled out certain requirements that he thought would be appropriate for translators. The task was to fill these various slots. It's amazing the way individuals rolled up their sleeves to get to it. The Genesis text that I'm going to read from this morning was translated principally by Seif Pastel, a brilliant Messianic Jewish scholar, PhD out of Golden Gate Seminary in San Francisco, I believe, professor here at Israel College of the Bible, a brilliant Hebrew scholar. The text that he translates is then sent off to a text manager. That we don't work alone. A text manager is someone who works a particular section of the literature. The text manager for the Torah is a Messianic rabbi, Jeffrey Adler. What happens is that this translated text is worked over and conversated over between Rabbi Adler and Dr. Pastel. Then it goes to a theology committee. When the text manager is satisfied, he has a read that he can live with, that he wants to present. Then a theology committee that's made up of a variety of theologians. Ray Gannon is one of them. And by the way, Dr. Gannon is one of the best kiddies in the Messianic Jewish litter. That's the God's honest truth. Ray Gannon has had his hands and heart in everything. I could just spend 45 minutes talking about him. Dr. Gannon, a brilliant scholar, took a PhD here out of Hebrew University after working his way to and through Princeton University for a graduate degree on top. A real lover of the Lord and the Jewish people. Well, Ray Gannon is on that committee. Another, Elliot Clayman, who took a degree from Harvard University. Elliot's a retired professor out of Ohio State, and he's a principal, a leader in what's called the Jewish Theological Institute. Rich Robinson's on the theology committee, took a PhD out of Westminster Seminary in the East Coast of the United States, working with the group Jews for Jesus. There are others as well. The point is, they all worked under Eric Tokajer, the chair of the theology committee. What happens is documents, translated text goes to that committee, they work through it, they critically reflect on it, and then send it back to the text manager with their reflections. The text manager works it out in accordance with that committee. And by the way, I didn't mention, in conversation with our literary editor, Dr. Glenn Blank is a retired professor out of Lehigh University in Pennsylvania. He's a Messianic rabbi, brilliant with the English language. He has his hands in the process all the while. Well, the text manager gets this document back after the theos have worked on it and nuances it, and then sends it off for another set of eyes, what we call our language expert. Some time back, I made the acquaintance some years ago with a woman, and Helen Delaire is not a Jewish woman. She is an evangelical Christian woman that just fell in love with the Lord and fell in love with the Lord's people, the Jewish people, fell in love with Israel. By way of Oral Roberts University, Helen felt called to go to Hebrew Union College and take a PhD in Semitic languages. If you don't know, Hebrew Union College is it's the academic center of American modern Judaism, Reformed Judaism. It's their training school. Helen went there. A non-Jew went to this Jewish religious school and got a PhD in the language. And she came and was in Israel, and Hebrew Union College called her back and asked if she would join the faculty to teach Hebrew. A non-Jewish woman, an evangelical Christian woman, teaching rabbis how to speak the language. I think that's fascinating. Well, the Lord had Helen there for a number of years, and then she went on to Denver Seminary to head up a Master of Divinity program in Messianic Jewish Studies. I asked Helen if she'd be our language expert, and what happens is, as this literature, as this sacred text makes its way through the process, we want someone else with another set of eyes to alight upon it, critically reflect on it, and then kick it back to the text manager. So we have these various processes. I liken it to a car wash where the car goes in and it's hit by various brushes and washes and swabs and what have you, and then it's dried off and it comes out the other end. The purpose here was to present a Bible translation that restored the Jewishness of the text. And what we wanted was the Messianic Jewish community that now is at a place where a number of individuals have been able to, respond to the call of God to go into the ministry, to go to seminary, to get the requisite language skills, and now have the opportunity to then present together a common voice in what we want to say about the Scriptures. This is particularly significant in the way that we render the New Covenant. All too long, as you may well know, the Bible story, the Jesus story, is construed so very much as non-Jewish. And it's tragic to me that the Jesus story is a Jewish story through and through, but with the passage of time and circumstance, people lost sight of the Jewish roots. And what happens is what becomes a Jewish story becomes un-Jewish and anti-Jewish, and gone is the memory. Well, the name of the game was to work the text collectively in a way that can help bring that out, not just with the text itself. One of the distinguishing characteristics is the artwork itself. We wanted to it was Danya's vision, who has a real heart for art. She wanted a Bible that an eighth grader could comprehend, in the way the language is spelled out and in the way that there's art to embellish, to help people to envision, to retell the Bible story from a Jewish perspective.